Okay, so Friday we started talking about rational functions, and we were just doing transformations of your 1 over x and the 1 over x squared, and talking about looking at those graphs for domain, range, asymptotes, those kinds of things. So now we are going to look at actually graphing them from scratch without just doing transformations. So when we do this, we have some rules that we have to follow for asymptotes. Do you guys know what time the Votector leaves?
It's supposed to be leaving at 8 o'clock a.m. Not at the office.
You can run down, why don't you go down and see? So I assumed they were making an announcement. Go confirm for me.
Well, can I go with them?
No, one person can go and you can just come back and tell us. Just leave your stuff or have them make an announcement.
Just leave your stuff, he takes it.
Yeah.
I'll call them, don't worry.
Okay. Vertical asymptotes. These are always going to be of the form x equals a number. So x equals 3, x equals 5, just x equals a number. And we saw these on Friday. How do we get those vertical asymptotes? We use transformations. What else? If I said like we had 1 over x minus 4, where would your vertical asymptote be? 4. Why? It moves it right 4. When you're looking at the domain of this, what can x not be? 4, because it makes the denominator 0. So when it's the x equals a number, it's transformations, but to find that number, it's what makes the denominator equal 0. Okay, so anytime we are looking at a rational function, a fraction, we have to look at what makes the bottom of that fraction equal 0, and that will be where you have a vertical asymptote. You can have multiple vertical asymptotes. I think the very last question on the Math Excel gave you a graph, and you saw it had 2 vertical asymptotes. So it could be more than one. All right, so then the horizontal and oblique asymptotes. Horizontal is going to be y equals a number. Y equals 0, y equals 4, y equals 1/2. Now these occur in certain scenarios. Okay, if the top degree is smaller, it will always be y equals a 0. If we have the same degree on top and bottom, we divide the leading coefficients. If only somebody told you to leave your stuff here. What time are they leaving?
They're going to announce it.
That's what I assumed. Okay. Let me kind of give an example of this. So if I said,
on the VOTEC list to the lobby at this time. If you are on the VOTEC tour list, please report to the lobby.
I'll go back to that slide in just a second.
I didn't even get past
The last what?
I'm going to go back to my slide in just a second. So here is what we are looking at. When I have this polynomial, what is the degree of the top? 1. What's the degree of the bottom? 2. So on this slide, we wrote down that if the top degree is smaller, it's an automatic what? Y equals 0. Here's why. So it has to do with division. This means you are going to take the top and divide it by the bottom. Okay, when we do long division, can you do x squared times something and just get an x to the first? No, it doesn't work out. So it's a 0. when you try to divide them. So that's why if the top degree is smaller, it's an automatic y equals 0. It has to do with the long division. When we have the same degree on top and bottom, let's just do what this means is 4x plus 6, and we are dividing that by x minus 1. When we did long division, we asked ourselves, okay, what is 4x divided by x? 4. All right, and so then if you kept going with your long division, you would multiply, distribute a negative. Can you do 10 divided by x? No, so the rest of it's our remainder. So our horizontal asymptote is y equals 4. The shortcut I told you was if it's the same degree on top and bottom, you just divide those coefficients. 4 divided by 1 is 4. So all of these relate back to long division. If you have to do long division, fine, or you can remember the rules. If the top degree is smaller, it will always be 0 because you can't divide them. If they have the same degree, all you could do is divide your leading coefficients. When the top degree is bigger, there is no horizontal asymptote. The third type of asymptote is an oblique asymptote. These are going to be a regular line, y equals mx plus b. What's wrong? Which one are you looking at?
So that the top degree is bigger, but
No HA, no horizontal asymptote.
No.
All right, so oblique asymptotes are full lines, y equals mx plus b. This only happens if the top degree is 1 bigger. Again, it all relates back to that division. We want a line. The asymptote is like saying, if you divide them and ignore the remainder, what do we get? And so on the examples I already gave you, we had the 0, we had the 4. If the top degree is 1 bigger, so let's just say x squared plus 2x minus 3. Let's just do x for a moment. Okay, so what's the degree of the top? And the bottom? Alright, so what this means is the division, you have the top divided by the bottom. So when we do this division, what is x squared divided by x? X. And then you multiply x times x is x squared. And change our signs. So those cancel, the 2x minus 3 comes down. What is 2x divided by x? Alright, and that would be 2x, change your signs. Can you do negative 3 divided by x? No. For the oblique, we don't need the remainder. On all of these divisions, it's like ignoring the remainder. So your oblique asymptote here would be y equals x plus 2. Okay, so for the oblique, there's not just a shortcut rule, but we start the long division. You don't have to finish it. You're just getting a line, y equals mx plus b. Now, if the top is more than 1 bigger, would we have an asymptote? No, because when you go to divide them, you would end up with an x squared or an x cubed or something like that, and that's not a line. So, every rational function we look at, we'll check for vertical asymptotes. Can it have both a horizontal and an oblique? How? When do you get oblique?
Not a horizontal and oblique, but horizontal and vertical.
We can have a horizontal and vertical, but horizontal happens if the top degree is smaller or the same. Oblique happens if the top degree is one bigger. Can it be bigger and smaller at the same time? No, so it'll be either horizontal or oblique. Okay. So what we're going to do for the rest of the day today is just practice finding asymptotes. And pretty much.
When you said you can do long division, or you can remember the rulers to passive aggressive, like, or you can just do it right.
That wasn't what I meant. Okay, so let's take a look at these.
Running out of pages, Miss Purple.
Oh no,
So much math.
it's been a productive year.
No, you're right, babe.
Thanks.
Yep.
Are we on schedule? Are we on time?
We are.
Like, are we
We're doing good.
not being behind?
We are not behind. All right. So when I ask for all the asymptotes, we'll start with vertical. Vertical is kind of like finding the domain. We did the domain last week. The only difference is with domain, you're telling me x can't be these things, and those things that x cannot be are your asymptotes. So what could I do with 4x minus 1? How could I factor that?
2x minus 1, 2x plus 1.
And so when those equal 0, that's when we get our vertical asymptotes. Agreed? So 2x minus 1 equals 0. 2x plus 1 equals 0. So we get x equals 1/2 and -1/2. So this one has 2 vertical asymptotes. If I asked you for your domain, what would you tell me?
Negative infinity to -1/2, union -1/2 to 1/2, union 1/2 to.
Perfect.
What did we just study plus or minus 1?
I told you that if it's more than one value x can't be, you can tell me x cannot equal. So the domain is saying it cannot be these things. The asymptote is saying it is these things. Okay? Asymptotes are lines, so you have to give me the full equation. Don't just tell me your vertical asymptote is 1/2. You have to say x equals 1/2. All right, now we have to decide if it's horizontal or oblique, and that is based off the degree. So what's the degree at the top? And the bottom?
Horizontal.
So it's the same degree. That means it is horizontal. Horizontal is always y equals a number. Do you know what that number would be?
2.
If it's the same degree, all you have to do is divide those things. So 8 divided by 4 is 2. Any questions there? Why don't you guys try B?
Hey.
So vertical asymptote is always x equals, and it's just what makes the bottom 0. So what makes x plus 4 equal 0? Negative 4.
Horizontal.
Horizontal. What's the degree of the top?
3.
Degree is 1. Degree of the bottom is
It's 3.
1. So if it's the same degree, you divide those leading coefficients.
It's 3.
And it's horizontal, so it will be y equals 3. Y equals 3. Okay.
Lana was all over that one. She was right.
Let's keep doing them.
Heavyweight paper is just the best thing they ever made. I agree.
Oh, it's blurry.
Sucks.
Or is that just me?
No, it's blurry. All right. So for the first one,
Oh shoot.
how do we find vertical asymptotes?
The bottom.
The bottom equal to 0.
Plus or minus 1?
That's not
Okay, so we graph eyes.
No.
So what would I say for my vertical asymptote?
NA.
NA or none, whatever you want to write there. We don't have it. Alright, let's decide if it's horizontal or oblique. What is the degree of the top?
One,
What's the degree of the bottom?
2. It's horizontal.
So when the top is smaller,
It's 0.
mhm. So horizontal, y equals 0.
I think you got the next one.
Does anyone need me to explain why it's the 0? If you remember the rules, that's great. If you forget them, we could set up a division. There's other ways we could think about it. Like there's no x squareds on the top, so if you add in a 0x squared and then divide, 0 divided by 1 is 0. So a few tricks I could give you if you're struggling with that. Alright, D. If I want to find the vertical asymptotes, we have to find out what makes the bottom 0. We need two factors. So I'm going to take out an x first. Okay, then we can do easy method. So what do we get for our vertical?
0, 2.
And you can write those separately. Usually I do. I guess I was kind of lazy here. I'll write them out.
I already put commas.
It's okay.
I did my comment already. Should we put them separately?
I think like on the Math Excel you'll have to.
Okay. But on like an actual assignment.
As long as you have them. It's okay.
Math Excel usually lets you put them together. As long as you use commas to separate as needed.
All right. So what's the degree of the top?
4,
The degree of the bottom?
3.
It's oblique.
This is oblique. So if I have an oblique, do we have horizontal?
No.
No. So for an oblique, the only way we are going to get it
Divide.
is division. Okay, so my denominator is what goes outside. Inside, we have 3x to the 4th. I'm going to go ahead and put a 0x cubed to help me as a placeholder. Okay, now the good news is we don't have to do the full division. We know we are getting a line. Y equals mx plus b. That's all we need. So we start dividing the first numbers. What is 3x to the 4th divided by x cubed? Then we multiply. 3x times x cubed minus 3x cubed minus 6x squared. Then what do we do?
Distribute.
Do the negative. Those drop. We have 3x cubed plus 4x squared. We are one step from the answer because we don't have to finish this.
It's that negative that you just distributed.
You always subtract it off, so we just always distribute the negative.
It's just a lot.
Okay. What is 3x cubed divided by x cubed? 3. And that is all we need. So I am not going to finish this division. So my, oops, we didn't have horizontal. This is oblique. My OA. You can say horizontal asymptote none if you want. Our oblique asymptote is y equals 3x plus 3.
So it's
I really wanted to
Okay.
teach food last night.
Ah. How dare you say that?
In jail, we trust.
I don't think where. Like,
I knew the
version
49ers were gonna lose
last
before
year.
Brock Purdy got hurt in the first quarter. They put
Let's
in
look at
that
this
quarterback.
I knew they were gonna lose.
Heck
Started
yeah.
playing the game. I knew they were gonna lose for about 6 innings. Not playing.
They Christian
Podcast
McCaffrey
sneezing. I hate that.
quarterback from them. Yes,
I don't think I've ever heard
The
you
worst.
say that.
What are you upset about? What's wrong?
Yeah. Whatever those sounds are, I agree.
Okay. Let's take a look at this one. how do I find my vertical asymptotes?
It's negative.
We have to factor the bottom. What would this factor into?
Negative 16.
X minus 3x minus 2.
Wait,
So I have to multiply to a positive 6, so they have to be the same sign.
that makes sense.
So vertical asymptote would be
3 and 2.
x equals 3, x equals 2.
It's-
Alright.
it is a-
Now we have to decide if we have horizontal or oblique. To do that, we look at the degree. What's the degree of the top? The degree of the bottom? 2. Okay, if the top is 1 bigger, that's oblique, and we have to do long division. Not so bad. We don't even have to do the whole thing.
Last time I did like it was like 7th grade.
We did at the beginning of the year.
7th grade.
So we have x cubed. I'm going to put 0x squared and 0x in here. You don't have to, but that helps me a little bit. And then I put the x squared minus 5x plus 6 on the outside. Alright, so long division. It's really, you divide, you multiply, you subtract. Okay, it's really 3 steps. So when I say you divide, we do what is x cubed divided by x squared? X. Then you multiply. What is x times this? So x times x squared is x cubed. X times negative 5x is negative 5x squared. X times 6 is 6x. So we divided, we multiplied, now we subtract. So you run a negative through. So these cancel. 5x squared minus 6x minus 8. Okay, we are 1 step from the answer. We're back to dividing. So what is 5x squared divided by x squared? 5. And you get to stop. We don't need anything else. The rest will just give us the remainder. So our oblique asymptote is y equals x.
Doing middle school math.
I was gonna tell you something. Last time I said I don't like math. It was imaginary numbers. When we first discovered them. Yeah.
Alright, take a look at this one and see what you. Okay, vertical asymptote, x equals whatever makes the bottom 0. What would make x to the 5th equal 0? 0. You don't have to do multiplicities with asymptotes. So we don't need M5 or anything like that. It's just this line is my asymptote. Then we have to decide HA or OA. So what's the degree of the top?
Oh, wait.
8. What's the degree of the bottom?
5.
Okay, look back to what we wrote down. Horizontal happens if the degree on top is smaller or the same. Is that happening here? No. Oblique happens when the top is 1 bigger. Did that happen here? So you do not have to have them. Almost. All right. One more thing that I want to talk about today is x and y intercepts
Not
with
good.
these.
Didn't you say we were only doing that today?
This is my last slide.
No, but no,
That was so
This last slide is gonna get extended 5 times.
You said that was my last time. You're so sad.
So, x and y intercepts the same that we've always done. How do you find an x intercept?
Plug in 0 for y.
How do we do this though?
How do you find a y intercept?
Plug in 0 for
Okay. That doesn't change just because we aren't looking at lines anymore. X and y intercepts are the same thing. It's asking where we hit the x or y axis, so it's just making the opposite variable 0. Alright, so tomorrow we will actually start using all the information that we are finding to craft them. Today, I just want you to practice finding these attributes. So there is a Math Excel assignment open with Ask